Hey, family. Theology is very, very important. But sometimes we can get so caught up in controversial topics or even just disagreements or what if this happened or what if that happened or sometimes we try to explain things that we just can't explain and we get away from the core doctrine of the gospel. And what happens is instead of showing a love from a pure heart, we end up just trying to argue and trying to disprove each other and show that we're right or we're smarter. And we have these useless, endless arguments that have been going on for a long time. Paul kind of addressed that as he was writing to Timothy in First Timothy, and some of his false teachers were trying to, talk about Old Testament stuff and what if this happened, what if that, and just this long arguments. And Paul's like, you're missing the point. And he says that in First Timothy, starting with verse 3. He says, as I urged you when I was going to Macedonia, remain at Ephesus so that you may charge certain persons not to teach any different doctrine, nor to devote themselves to endless genealogies, which promote speculations rather than the stewardship from God that is by faith. He's saying, basically what he's saying right here is they were so focused on these genealogies of the Old Testament and what if this happened, what if that, and these long arguments, they were missing out on what it was, what was really important. And then the core of that is verse 5. Remember, the core of the whole letter says the aim of our charge, our commission, our command that God has given us is love that issues from a pure heart and a good conscience and a sincere faith. That's what it's all about. That's what the gospel is all about. So if we're so into these arguments and theological stuff or just stuff that doesn't even have nothing to do with the gospel, we just want to argue about it instead of what it's all about, love, then we're missing the whole point. So don't get me wrong. I don't want you to think theology is important because sometimes, you could be saying something that's totally different from the actual gospel or doctrine, and that's not okay. Heresy is not okay. But when we're just trying to make up stuff to argue, and sometimes as churches and denominations we can do that, we miss the point of love, and we don't love each other. And that just totally misses the mark in our testimony. So Paul finishes off, he says, certain persons by swerving from these have wandered away into vain discussion, desiring to be teachers of the law without understanding either what they are saying or the things about they make these confident assertions. So my encouragement to you today is, yes, learn theology. Know what sound doctrine is. But don't get caught up in these arguments of this and that. It's the core essentials of faith, and that's to love people. And I want you to do that because if you argue without love, like sometimes we can do as seminary students or, denominational, and it can get heated. And you know what? That's not what Christ's intent was. So let us love others to love others and make disciples that way. All right, family. You guys have a blessed day.